Hello there YouTubers, welcome back to my channel, Workshop Fun. Today I'd like to talk about something very dear to me. This is my model steamboat, the Britannia. In the last 5 months it's undergone extensive restoration, modification and overall rebuilding. So I'll get started with a few key points. I've just got a little note here telling me in bullet points what I should talk about this time, as there was quite a lot done. So the first thing I've got on my note is boat repairs. So let's talk about the boat repairs. Okay, about 4 years ago I'd say, maybe even a bit more, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this boat caught fire. It wasn't in flames, but it was smoking and there was a lot of damage done. Now the reason why it caught fire was because the boiler had a little buffering pad underneath it, and that was protecting the hull from the boiler. Anyway, that failed, and it failed big time, and I had it out on the lake, and out on Gilmore Lake here in New Zealand in Waihi. You can go quite far off and your boat gets a little bit out of sight. Like, you can see smoke, you just think it was maybe a bit of steam. So anyway, I started bringing it back in and realised there was a lot of smoke, and sure enough it had done some pretty bad damage. Now what had happened is, as I said, underneath the boiler at the time there was a buffer, and then there was the hull. That had failed, and it had charred, and more than charred, damaged the keel quite badly. So that was an ongoing problem. Anyway, so 5 months ago I set out to build the top for this and also do some repair work. Unfortunately I haven't got to the top yet, but I've done a major restoration. So what I did is, underneath the stainless steel panel, I dug all the damaged wood out of the keel, which actually was unfortunately quite a lot, and rebuilt it all. And then, to stop that from ever happening again, I put this 2mm thick stainless steel capsule in, and that is also sitting on wooden rails underneath the capsule, and those wooden rails are glued and screwed to the boat hull, and they're glued using no more nails, and they're screwed using stainless steel screws. And so the stainless steel capsule doesn't sit directly on those wooden rails. There are 4 washers, you can see the 4 screws holding this in at the bottom, and there is also a lot of instant gasket silicone which sits between the wooden rails and the stainless steel. So the washers stop the stainless from directly contacting the wooden rails, and then the instant gasket silicone, which is very heat resistant, glues it in as well. So it's screwed and glued and spaced by about 1 millimetre from the wooden rails. Same with on the sides here, it's spaced a little bit, and there's some instant gasket silicone, and it's screwed in. Now to get this in, I had to sand away quite a lot of the little wooden rail support on the hull, but that doesn't matter because this actually gives the hull more strength now. Now this capsule here does several things. This boat used to have quite a lot of ballast in it. I removed pretty much all the ballast and put this in. And then I turn around and also put this in because it is heat deflecting. It deflects the heat back at the boiler. Stainless steel is one of the best metals for that. And then I also put it in to offer the boat fire protection. If this burner ever did go loose and do anything, it wouldn't catch fire to the boat very easily. and it also re-strengthens the hull. So it does three things. It's an active ballast, it deflects the heat, and it strengthens the boat, which is why I brought the stainless steel panel right out to here, because any heat coming from the burner is getting deflected back. So it seems to be working really well. And now, so that's enough about the stainless capsule. The next part was when I removed the boiler. The original firebox was pretty well had it. It had rusted out. So I had had enough of that kind of problem. So I got my friendly engineer here to make this nice stainless firebox. I had the stainless firebox modified from the original design. I had this nice curve put in the back too, just to make it look a little more snazzy and give it a bit more, what would you say, class. So that was one step. Now, the boiler, my goodness, the boiler. Okay, she had some real problems. She was leaking a little bit because my grandpa, he did a lovely job of building this, but just to patch up some leaks, there was some soft solder in it, and there are two main seams to this boiler. They were silver soldered together, so nice and strong, but the little leaks were soft soldered. So that was always a bit of a nuisance. The moment the boiler slightly overheated, it would spring leaks, and it's not hard to actually get the soft solder to a point where it just sort of gives out when the soft solder is way down here, so close to the firebox. And this inlet here for my water feed, that was also soft soldered. The what would you call it, the plug that takes the non-return valve, that was soft soldered, and it would always spring leaks. So anyway, I took the boiler up to Auckland, and I turned around and had this certified boilermaker, who's also a model engineer, turn around and fix the boiler. He turned around and sandblasted it with silicon beads, then he acid dipped it, and then he heated it up and took all the tin solder out of it, and it took a lot of work for him. He spent a week on and off at it, and 2 full days, and he re-silver soldered everything. So this boiler is way better than what it's ever been. It's an amazing boiler now. And along the 2 seams, not only did he silver solder it, he also put 10 copper rivets on each seam. So it's really strong. After that, he pressure tested it to 100 pounds for 2 days straight, and he just made sure that there was nothing wrong with it. So once he'd done that, I was able to come and pick it up and start fitting it back out on the boat. So now this boiler's running rate is £50 if I want it to, but I'll just run it at 40 because that's all this little isolating engine needs. So once I started fitting it out, I remade all the wooden lagging. It took me a long time, but I got it there, and it came up really nice. I'm very impressed with that. I bought a new sight gauge, and I fitted that carefully. Bought a nice new lovely brass pressure gauge. Trying to get this to focus, there we go. And I fitted that carefully. Then I made a new main pipe for the engine. I rerouted a bit of the pipe to this side because I wanted the oil feeder for the motor over this side for a change, because I used to always have it here, and it was always within a close proximity of the whistle chain, so it was just a nuisance. So anyway, it's now over there, it works good and going lovely. Now, the other thing I should talk about, when I fitted the boiler back out, the new stainless firebox, I had to make some sort of slot holes to get the boiler to align nicely in the centre of the boat, and then also between the boiler firebox and the stainless steel capsule, I made 4 2mm copper washers. I made them on my lathe, good old lathe, and when I made them, I put them underneath the firebox and between the firebox and the stainless steel capsule, so even the firebox is not directly touching the capsule, so there's a little air pocket underneath the firebox. So all these little details, they take time and they take effort and energy to, you know, think of and create. So now there's no overheating in this boat. This can run for hours and hours on end and just no problems. So once I did that, then there was the other problem, rerouting all these pipes. So one of the first pipes I rerouted was the main gas line. For some reason I had the gas control valve on this side, but had the gas line crossing over to this side. All very unnecessary. So I've rerouted the gas line all the way through behind the stainless steel capsule, and it comes out here. I made this new burner holder, and that is very firmly fixed in place, and it ensures that the burner will not wiggle around and go anywhere. After that, I was always taught by my grandfather never to have a steam line and a gas line running together and close, so this steam line for the regulator comes over the other side and down and underneath here. So that was all carefully thought of and rerouted and done safely. So now the steam and the gas lines ain't too close together. After that, I had problems with I had problems with the radio control gear. So all the radio control gear was playing up big time. The first thing that I noticed was playing up was the whistle servo, which now is sitting behind this nice little bit of stainless panel. That was playing up. It actually seized solid. Just the heat from the boiler always destroyed the whistle servos. So now I've offset it and put it behind the stainless panel, so hopefully no more trouble. The other thing that was playing up was the throttle servo wasn't the best, so remade a whole new throttle setup, including these little little brass bushes to help hold this copper arm in place to the little plastic round thing that's underneath here. I had to buy a new receiver, and I set that up here, and this servo here was also stuffed, so 3 out of the 4 servos in my boat got replaced. And I replaced the battery pack holder. It was this thick, ugly alloy thing. I replaced it with this very thin 1mm stainless holder that I made. And the other thing I did was a lot of this gear, these 3 items here, were all down the back here, which is not very practical when you got the weight of the boiler feed tank at the back, and then you got all the servo gear at the back too. You're starting to get a lot of weight at the back, so I wanted to even out the weight, so I put a lot of the gear up the front here, and also the gas canister and this are all up the front, so it makes a lot more sense. It levels the boat out quite nicely. The only bit of ballast I have in the boat now is this. And you can see it's a bit thicker on this side. That's because sometimes this boat wants to list on this side. So I fixed all of that up, and now it all seems to be going good. The other thing I had to fix, this boat is 20 years old now, so the paddles, they weren't in the best shape. I had to turn around and fix them up and repaint them. That took a lot of time, believe it or not. Even one of these fins had sort of come off and floated away in Gilmore Lake somewhere. I don't know where, but you never know, it could have gone down the drain off, who knows, but anyway, it was gone, so I had to remake one of those and glue it all in place. And then I also went around all of these and glued them all, and then sanded everything down and repainted them. That took a lot of time, a lot of mucking around. The other thing that I did was these wooden side rails were not held good anymore. They had come loose from the deck in the boat, so I got stuck in there with no more nails, and I used some toothpicks to space it apart from the deck and put no more nails in there and re-glued it all back down. And then along this area I also drilled little holes, 5 holes in each side, and clipped the end off a toothpick in each hole and smothered them in super glue and pushed them down into each hole, and then trimmed them off later and sanded them level with this and repainted all these areas. Also, while I had the whole boat apart, I repainted all the inside, the whole lot. I turned around, made these little end caps for each of the for each end of the stainless capsule. I made these top caps as well, and how I did these end caps was I used my mill and hogged out a lot of the wood on each one, and that makes it very, very light. And with these wooden trims on the stainless capsule, I just used my table saw and cut a 2mm slot in each one, and I turned around and just inserted them on, and each of these are held, each of the end caps and these top caps are held with just instant gasket silicone, and really firm, won't go anywhere. Yeah, the other things I've been doing lately too is just had to like remake little bits and pieces, like this bit of wire here, carefully shaped it, remade the holders for each of the rudder servos, and I turned around and basically repositioned everything and got it all working good. So all these things take an awful amount of time. It's just amazing how long each thing takes. The other thing that I did is, while I had the boiler getting repaired and everything done so nicely, is I put this blowdown valve on the boiler, so when I get it down to like 5 psi or something like that, occasionally I can let the blowdown valve go and get a bit of scale out of the boiler, which is another reason why I got these end caps on the stainless capsule. So yeah, it's all come along really nicely. So if you want to see this boat working, there are videos on my channel, and if you like this video, please hit the like, and if you wish to, please subscribe. Thank you very much.